What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? I'm the Godless Engineer, and I critically analyze apologists' claims to give you the best arguments and information so that you can stand up and use your voice. Today, we're going to be taking a look at another part of a recent Brad Harrub sermon that I ran across. We did a live stream this past Friday on another part of this sermon, but today we're going to hyper-focus on a part that occurs prior to the human population argument. Brad seems to start off his sermon by asking, what happened to the dinosaurs? And for a Christian creationist, I would think that that would be a very pertinent question to ask. What did happen to the dinosaurs? Were the dinosaurs on the ark? How did the dinosaurs go extinct if it wasn't for a giant asteroid slamming into the Earth? These are all very important questions because we know that dinosaurs definitely existed. On the creationist view, it makes no sense for the dinosaurs to be stored on the ark for one thing, and then for another to disappear without any kind of explanation that we can tell, other than an asteroid hitting the Earth. So today, Brad Harrub is going to explain what he thinks happened to all the dinosaurs after the flood. So if you heathens want to fuck around and find out how Brad Harrub explains the extinction of dinosaurs, then please stay tuned.
So we left off with this question right here. What happened to the dinosaurs?
I'm so glad you initially asked that question. I've already kind of answered it, but let me go over it again. A giant asteroid slammed into the Earth, drastically changing the environment of the Earth. The dinosaurs could not adapt fast enough to their new environment, and so they ended up dying off. That's the scientific explanation as far as we can tell. We know that the asteroid came from probably the Oort cloud that surrounds our solar system. This is due to the composition of the asteroid that hit the Earth. It was composed of carbonaceous chondrite. This is a very primitive material that dates all the way back to the beginning of the solar system. There's very few asteroids within the solar system that are made out of this material. So it more than likely came from way outside of our solar system. The gravity of Jupiter most likely is what roped it into our solar system and eventually careened it toward Earth. So yes, science has already answered this question without the help of the Bible. But let's see how Brad explains the extinction of dinosaurs when he believes in a fundamentalist reading of the Bible.
And I wish that I could just stand up here and say, well, you know, all the dinosaurs died out because of blank. But the reality is we don't know for sure.
But we do. We definitely know that the climate changed on the Earth drastically. We know that the dinosaurs couldn't adapt fast enough, so they ended up dying off. Now, as far as the exact ways in which they died off, like after the asteroid hit, which we definitely know happened, what else changed? We're still figuring things out, but for the most part, we know that the climate changed drastically. That's what killed the dinosaurs. The asteroid that hit the Earth is the most likely culprit for this drastic change in climate.
And I don't have a problem looking at you saying we don't know for sure. Now, there's lots and lots of theories. The one that your children are going to hear about the most in their textbooks is that asteroid or that meteorite hitting the Earth.
Well, yes, they are going to hear about that because that is what all the evidence leads us to. We know that the dinosaurs died out between 65 and 66 million years ago. We have the remnants of the asteroid strike. We know the composition of the asteroid that hit the Earth. Like, we have all of this evidence. I do want to point out here, though, that when it's a very difficult question for your fundamentalist view to account for, it's okay to not know something. But as soon as we venture outside of like, shucks, I don't know. I mean, shit, it could have been anything. Oh, fuck, they could have died from hemorrhoids. We're not sure. As soon as we venture outside of that to say like, the beginning of the universe or any kind of thing or process that happens in reality, you're so quick to just say God did it. It's kind of amazing how you all of a sudden play the ignorance card when it comes to the dinosaurs extinction, but everywhere else you're fine just blaming God with it. Why don't you just say, well, I don't know how God did it, but I do know it was God's plan. Definitely, God is the one that killed those motherfuckers.
But to me, that really causes more questions than it does answers. Because how do you selectively kill stuff on the other side of the planet? Like, for instance, how do you selectively kill just the dinosaurs and leave the amphibians?
When he's talking about selectively, I'm guessing he's wondering why didn't the asteroid kill all life on Earth instead of just the larger dinosaurs and all these other species that couldn't adapt quick enough to the changing environment. Small mammals and amphibious and aquatic life could have escaped the drastic rise in heat created by the impact of the asteroid. Also, the dietary requirements of these animals allowed them to eat various things that did not include all of the plant life that had been seared off of the earth. Mammals, while not aquatic, they could have went into underground burrows and hid out while the surface temperature of the earth was at an unbearable level. While these small mammals and aquatic life and amphibious life could have survived these drastic levels, the large dinosaurs just simply couldn't. Even if they could, though, all the plant life on the face of the earth would have died out from the immense amount of heat generated by the asteroid slamming into the earth. So even if the large herbivores or any of the herbivores could have survived, they wouldn't have been able to live because they wouldn't have food to eat. And then that also trickles down or up, however you want to think about it, to the carnivorous dinosaurs. They wouldn't have been able to survive either because they wouldn't have had anything to eat there as well because the herbivores would have died out. So regardless of how you come at it, science has already explained how, quote unquote, selectively the asteroid could have killed all of the dinosaurs but left some amphibians, mammals, and other aquatic life
on the other side of the planet. I'm aware of about 27 theories of what killed the dinosaurs. I brought roughly 5 of them with me. Again, the chief being that asteroid hitting the Earth. Number 2, an exploding star flooded the Earth with intense radiation, resulted in fatal mutation for dinosaur offspring. Number 3, the Earth's climate became too warm, too cold, too dry, or too wet for the dinosaur's health. Number 4, change in the dinosaur's diet resulted in weakened eggshells that broke after being laid. Sad to say, number 5 is a scientific theory, and that is that a laxative plant in the dinosaur's diet disappeared and they all died of constipation.
So I don't know where he's getting any of this information. For all that I can tell, Brad has just pulled these out of his ass. Could there be some nuggets of truth in what he's saying? Well, yeah, sure. But currently what we know about the Cretaceous Tertiary Extinction Event, or the KT Extinction Event, is that the asteroid hit the Earth. That drastically changed the environment. It also kicked up a lot of dust, which eventually blocked out the sun, and temperatures rose on the Earth to unbearable levels. Now, from what we can tell, the population of dinosaurs on this Earth was declining prior to the extinction event, but it was the extinction event that finally wiped them out. Now, whether or not these other hypotheses really had any kind of bearing on the dinosaurs, it doesn't really matter, because what you need to know is that an asteroid definitely fucked the dinosaurs up. But also, the list of 5 things that he has here are natural explanations. These are all very reasonable to assume that, like, oh, maybe a certain plant went extinct and they weren't able to poop, and so they all died or something like that. As ridiculous as that might sound, a change in an animal's dietary requirements, they can either adapt and change to mitigate that, or they'll just die out. And that's a perfectly natural and reasonable explanation. Was it the thing that killed the dinosaurs? Most likely not, because of the asteroid. But the fact that it's a natural explanation makes it many, many more times likely than God flooding the Earth and then whatever in the fuck you think happened after that. Because I can guarantee you it's some kind of magical shit.
I will let you decide if that one is possible, probable, or pitiful.
Yeah. I don't know what's up with these preachers using alliterations in order to sound more convincing. I've noticed that, like, fucks like Greg Locke do it too. They pull alliterations out of their ass either to get a laugh out of the crowd or to make it sound like they're smarter than they actually are. None of these are pitiful hypotheses. You know what I think is pitiful? Just saying God did it. That's what I think is pitiful.
I do have a thought about it after looking at all the evidence. It appears very plainly that this earth was changed dramatically after the flood. And I think those dinosaurs were able to thrive in the pre-flood world. And I do think they were on the ark.
This raises so many different questions here, because the pre-flood world, like especially in the Garden of Eden, let's just start with the Garden of Eden right here. You're trying to tell me that God created these dinosaurs, like the carnivorous dinosaurs, and they didn't actually eat meat at that time. Like, because the eating of meat only came into this reality, I guess, or into the ecosystem or into daily life after Eve ate fruit. So if no meat eating occurred prior to that point, you seriously think that a Tyrannosaurus Rex ate apples or ate watermelons or some kind of shit? Let's fast forward a little bit to after Eve had her fruit salad. Let's go to after that point when everybody was starting to eat meat. Do you seriously think that human beings could survive carnivorous dinosaurs walking all over the place? Like, you seriously think that we could survive that shit? Have you ever seen Jurassic Park?
No.
I know that that's like a fictional thing. It was a novel by Michael Crichton first and everything like that. I know that it's a little bit unrealistic, but the fact that these dinosaurs were huge, carnivorous, and were really good hunters, do you seriously think that we could have evaded that shit? I don't think so, but you're working on a whole different level there, Brad. Now let's go forward to the Ark. How in the fuck do you think that they got on the Ark? Typically, whenever you think about the Ark, you think of full-grown animals or whatnot. Of course, AIG has come out saying that they just need to be baby animals. So you're seriously going to tell me that a baby Tyrannosaurus Rex waddled its ass up onto the Ark and stayed somewhere and didn't eat like fucking sheep or something? Like, you seriously think that on top of all of the diversity of life that we currently have, he also fit dinosaurs onto the fucking Ark? What were they, eggs? Did he just put 2 of each egg that he knew was going to be a male and female of the species onto the Ark? Is that where, did he store it in some kind of like egg hatchery kind of fucking place? Also, why did those eggs stay in egg form for like a year that they were on the Ark? You're talking about the asteroid slamming into the Earth, causing more questions than it gives answers. But yet you start bringing up shit that only causes a plethora of questions, and none of them make sense when you try to answer them.
And I think after being on that Ark for 371 days, the ramp coming down, I think basically they looked around and realized, hey, we're not in Kansas anymore.
They weren't in Kansas to fucking begin with there, Brad. They were in the fucking Middle East. I know that he doesn't literally mean Kansas, but you get what I'm talking about. Like, obviously, they would have gotten off the Ark and known that they weren't in the exact same place that they were. They were floating around for a year. Of course, they would have gone somewhere else. But I'm guessing you're talking about the environment changing. After a year underwater, there would have been no plants. So I'd love for you to explain to us how herbivorous dinosaurs would have been able to survive when there was no plant life whatsoever on the face of the earth. Also, what the fuck did all the carnivorous dinosaurs eat while they were on the Ark? They were there for a year. What did you feed a T-Rex? Normally for a snack, we know the T-Rex would have a goat.
We'll try to tempt the Rex now. Keep watching the fence.
What's gonna happen again?
But you know what? My guess is that you didn't stock about 35 million tons of like dinosaur meat on there, or did you pack extra of certain dinosaurs so that you could feed it to the carnivorous ones? How the fuck did this happen? That doesn't even go on to explain how you would have fed the other animals that were also carnivorous but not dinosaurs. Do you understand when I say that the shit you're saying causes more questions, an insurmountable amount of questions, than it gives answers?
Because if you've ever seen what happens when a river floods its banks or an area floods, Nashville, about 5 years ago, we got 18 inches of water in less than 24 hours. That's a lot of water.
Oh shit, that's definitely like a goddamn global flood right there. Did you hear that, honey? He got 18 inches in about a quarter of an hour. Holy shit. Did you build an ark for this shit? Is that how you survived the Great Flood in Nashville in 1932? I mean, he's not that old, but you get it.
In fact, it was so much water that most of our sewers, most of our rivers, they couldn't contain it. And so we had large portions of our area that were flooded out. Well, let me tell you something. Water can do lots of damage. So imagine coming off that boat, looking around, being large, cold-blooded creatures needing lots of vegetation. And suddenly, those little warm, fuzzy mammals start thriving. I think the Ice Age was kicked off by the flood. In fact, if we had unlimited time, we would go into why I believe that, how I think it fits into Scripture.
Wait a second. You think that the flood caused an ice age? The last ice age occurred 2.6 million years ago. But no, obviously, it happened 4,000 years ago. I'm not exactly sure why you think a global flood would have started an ice age. We don't have any records of this ice age happening, which would have been when ice was mostly covering the earth. We don't have any geological, archaeological, or ecological evidence to suggest that it happened that recently. So I would love to know why you completely throw all of the evidence out the window and you go with, oh, the flood caused the ice age. I guess I'll have to peruse around YouTube and find your explanation for that. But I mean, damn, this is some dumb shit.
But the bottom line is this. I think two things got them. Number one, changing climate after the flood. Number two, what has man always done to animals we fear? We kill them, we hunt them.
Well, while true, I mean, we hunt a lot of animals that we definitely aren't afraid of. Here in North America, especially in the South, we hunt deer all the time. We're not afraid of deer. People just like to kill shit. True, while people do kill animals for food and kill animals to defend themselves to survive, I don't see how this is really all that explanatory of the evidence that we find. For one thing, we don't find any kind of dinosaurs that lived to about 4,000 years ago. Like, there's just simply no remains, no bones, no fossils, no evidence whatsoever that says that dinosaurs were roaming the earth 4,000 years ago. Unless, of course, you're as gullible as Matt Powell, who thinks that Confederates shot down a fucking pterodactyl during the Civil War.
The Confederates were able to shoot pterodactyls, back in the Civil War, and they spread these things out. Anybody can look it up online. They spread these things out, and this is a historical fact. So, they spread this thing out, and it's got a huge wing length. There's a pterodactyl they shot. So, of course, these things have been around. Now, they went extinct, obviously, slowly, but surely. And so,
And he just believes any fucking thing that he sees on the internet that agrees with his ideas. So, yet again, your explanations cause more questions than it gives answers.
So, back to Genesis chapter 9, verse 3. God tells Noah, now you can eat meat. Okay? You're 15 years after the flood. Noah says, boys, go out and get us something to eat. They look over, they see a squirrel. They see a possum, and they see a stegosaurus. They look back at that little squirrel and they think, he's small and greasy. He's not going to feed a lot of people. They look at that possum and they think, no, we'll leave him for the people in Arkansas. They look at that stegosaurus and they're thinking, we could eat on him for weeks.
So, your explanation is, of course, for one thing, a change in climate, which would be what I would say about the extinction of dinosaurs. Well, one of the things. The other thing is the searing heat that engulfed the planet and killed all plant life as well as all animal life that decided not to go underground or into the oceans and water. So I mean, that is one of the explanations, but that's due to an asteroid hitting the Earth. Now, you're saying that the dinosaurs definitely started repopulating, but that humans were scared of these dinosaurs, which some of them they should have been. Like a T-Rex, I'd be scared of that motherfucker, but also I don't think that humans could take down a T-Rex. I don't think that humans could take down an Allofucking-saurus. It's just, that's unreasonable. But in any case, you're saying that they got off the boat and they got hungry, and so they hunted dinosaurs to extinction. How does this make any kind of fucking sense? Like, with the evidence that we have, how does this make any kind of fucking sense? If this had actually happened, don't you think that we would have, like, real depictions of dinosaurs living 4,000 years ago? Never mind the fact that you think that a global flood happened and there's no evidence of that happening. Never mind the fact that the flood story in the Bible is just, influenced by other previous flood stories that existed in that area. Never mind all of that shit. You think that humans were able to hunt dinosaurs to extinction, and there's simply no evidence whatsoever anywhere of this happening? Jesus fucking Christ, that's stupid. I mean, seriously, we should have evidence of this shit happening, but we don't. And you choose to believe, well, obviously, Noah got his old ass out there with his sons and formed a hunting party and killed all the fucking dinosaurs so they could have something to eat. Also, why on earth was it that when they got off of the boat, it was just the fucking squirrel, possum, and stegosaurus that hung around the boat, huh? Well, why is that a thing? Like, I mean, there's so many other animals that you could have chosen to eat. Like fucking ostrich. Did they just run too fucking fast? The stegosaurus waddled its ass away, tried to get away, but couldn't? Like, is that what happened? Maybe the possum was just a bit too fast for you. I can guarantee you, if you're hungry enough, you will eat the shit out of that squirrel. My point is that, like, there's so many different animals and everything else to eat. I would think that human versus dinosaur might be kind of a last-ditch effort. Also, what the fuck did they kill him with? Did they destroy the ark and, like, fashion, like, spears out of them? They hunted them with spears and shit? Obviously, that's what they did.
Mom and Dad, one of the things, though, that I want to keep bringing back to the forefront of your mind is this. Our kids have questions about these animals and other things, and they deserve the truth.
Yes. They do deserve the truth. But guess what, motherfucker? You're not spreading truth. You're spreading bullshit biblical propaganda that is not supported by any evidence anywhere.
Because if you don't take the time to invest and to put into their hearts and their minds the truth as it filters in with God's word, eventually they will get their question answered.
Okay, so basically the advice you're giving to the parents in the crowd right now is that you have to reveal the truth as it is congruent with a view of God, as it merges with the view of God. So it has to be God and then whatever kind of bullshit you want to feed to them. As long as God's in it, that's the truth. Is that right? Because that just sounds like God is a shield for bullshit, and you're using God in order to stop people from thinking about how bullshit the things are behind God. Because that's essentially what you're saying here. Use God to slip in all of this unfiltered bullshit right into their craniums.
Okay? But it may be from a guy who's wearing a starched white lab coat who has absolutely no belief in God, who believes it is his job to undo their faith.
You see, that right there just shows how shitty of a person Brad is. Okay? Because that's not the goal of the majority of atheists out there. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that there are no atheists that want to do that. I do think that it would be an asshole thing to do to make it your personal job in life to remove faith from other people. I feel like I need to reveal the bullshit behind the whole God idea. But that's not me wanting to strip somebody of their faith. That's me wanting to let people know what the truth of reality is, instead of this bullshit that people have been feeding them. And then just putting God in front of it so that they stop thinking about how bullshit all of this stuff is. That's not me wanting to rip their faith or It's not me with a personal grudge against faith or wanting to deconvert people or whatnot. That's not what I want to do. I just want people to believe true things. And it's just simply not true that Noah collected the dinosaurs on the ark and then Noah also ate all the dinosaurs after the flood subsided. That is bullshit. And I don't think that you have to just stop being Christian or stop believing in God in order to accept the fact that an asteroid struck our planet, caused an immense amount of heat to be released, destroyed everything on the face of the earth, covered the skies with dust and blocked out the sun, and then everything that wasn't able to burrow underground or get into water or protect themselves in some way was just destroyed. That is scientific. What he is saying in this video is religious bullshit that you should not believe. This religious bullshit doesn't mean that you can't believe in God. You can still believe in God and accept that evolution's a fact, or that an asteroid killed the dinosaurs 66 million years ago. That's perfectly fine. I am not here to try to get you to stop believing in God. I just want you to stop believing in bullshit. That's it for his video today. All in all, I'm going to give this video a 1 asteroid out of 5. I think that Brad's video here is very unscientific, while at the same time trying to sound scientific. He projects like a fucking movie theater. I just think in general that he has some of the worst views that I've ever seen out of a fundamentalist creationist Christian. Nobody is wanting to take your faith from you. Nobody is wanting you to stop believing in God. What we do want you to do, though, is to stop believing in bullshit. Bullshit like Noah put dinosaurs on the ark. That's bullshit. Definitely bullshit. Thank you, heathens, for watching today. I really appreciate you guys. If you will, please go down below. Let me know what you think about Brad Harrub and all of his bullshit ideas here. I'd love to read them. And hey, while you're down there, why don't you smash that like button and subscribe if you like this kind of video. Don't forget to stand up and use your voice. Bye, heathens.